Are you stuck? You want to see your art reach the world, but it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Or maybe you've been working on a project for a really long time and you're not seeing it get done. Just like making a well-brewed cup of tea takes time and preparation and quality ingredients, so does your art.
Can I have some more tea?
Today we're going to be talking about setting goals so that you can be set up for success. One of the main things that will stop you from moving forward in your creative endeavors is a lack of planning. And I know this is kind of out of the wheelhouse for some of y'all, but this is a really important skill to learn. Listen, I am not one of the most organized people in the world. Never have been, probably will never be. But I make myself be organized over and over and over again because it's so important. And the fact of the matter is, you get better at it. So today we're going to be talking about reaching to success, setting goals, and actually moving forward. Unless you just want to stay stuck where you're at. I don't think you want to do that. All right, so I'm going to take a sip of tea and we're going to get this thing going. All right, to start with, I want to ask you a question. What is success? There can be so many different answers to this, and it really depends on you. What does success look like to you? Success can be seeing your song get released. Success can be writing a song. Success can be writing a book, making a script, making some connections, raising money for your next project. I don't know what success looks like for you, but it's important for you to know what success looks like for you. And maybe this isn't something you've put a great deal of thought into. It's so easy to just jump into other people's idea of what success is, but it's important for you to get in touch with what success looks like for you. This takes self-reflection, and for me, prayer. What kind of goals do you have for yourself? What is your ultimate picture of success? Is it playing in front of thousands of people? Is it getting your music out there so that people can listen to it online? Is it having a physical copy of a CD in your hands? What is success for you? And unless you already know, you should take some time to actually sit down and think and reflect so that you can actually know what that picture in your head is. Now, there are a lot of different perspectives on what success can be. It can be fame. It can be creative fulfillment. It can be self-expression. It can be a lot of things. Okay, so I want you to take out a piece of paper or grab your phone, and I want you to write down where I'll be in 10 years in my art. And I want you to sit down and think, where do you want to see yourself in 10 years? You don't have to have all of the plan figured out. It doesn't need to be super realistic or anything like that at this point. What is your goal? What does the ultimate picture of success look like for you? Maybe you do want to be in front of 1,000 people, singing your heart out. Maybe you do want to have an album put together where you can really hear the journey of songs. Maybe you do want to see your film on the big screen. I don't know what it is for you, but you have to actually start by knowing what success looks like for you. This is the most important step. Well, they're all important, but this is a really, really important one because the rest flow out of this step. So if you haven't done it yet, pause here. Take some time and actually write down what that ultimate picture of success looks like for you. And guys, this is really important because this should be tied to the heart of who we are as an artist. We don't need to lie to ourselves. We don't need to lie about what we really care about, but we really need to know so that we can be fulfilled in what we're doing. If you're just following everybody else's goals of what you should do if you're a filmmaker, if you're an artist or an animator or a music artist, if you're following other people's goals and steps and everything like that, you're starting off in the wrong place. It starts with you identifying what success looks like for you. And so please do not skip this step because the rest are not going to mean a whole lot if you don't do that. And kind of coming out of that, I want to talk about understanding your personal motivations. Identifying success really comes from this place of personal desire in some regard, right? Now, I'm not saying it's a selfish thing necessarily. Your goals can be aligned with something that's very non-selfish, that's very giving. But it's important for us to understand our personal motivations and desires because that is what's going to carry us all the way there. It's the wind in our sail. And there's a lot of different factors that come into play when we're talking about motivation and desire. It could be passion for the art that you're doing. It could be passion for personal expression. It could be recognition, people seeing and appreciating and recognizing your gift, your talent, your skill. It could be making an impact, seeing lives changed, seeing people encouraged, seeing people lifted up. It could be so many things, but it's important for you to know what is your personal motivation and desire when it comes to why you do your art. Listen, guys, for me, I started on my music journey because I felt like God told me it was time for me to get out there, to start writing music again, to record it, and to release it. And I have personal motivations in this too, right? I want to see my music, my art, create a lasting impact in the lives around me and with other people in the world. I want to write music that people enjoy. Of course, I want to be recognized to some degree. But listen, guys, my big motivation is I want to create a pathway for other artists. I love being a part of doing all the art I get to do, whether it's music or film in the future or animation in the future, or it could be a whole bunch of other things. But right now, I've been focusing on getting my music out there because I want to create a pathway for others. I want to make an impact for other people. And this has really helped me to keep moving forward and keep doing the things that I need to do, reaching the goals that I have so that I can reach my ultimate success. And so number one, you need to define success for you. Number two, you need to figure out what your personal motivations are and your desires when it comes to why you're releasing your art, why you're creating your art. So if you're writing stuff down, on the next line down, I want you guys to write down, what is my personal desire and motivation, and then fill in the blank. Take a few minutes, pause the video, and write it down. This is going to be like gold, you guys. This is going to help you to continue to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing so that you can reach your success. Don't take this for granted. It is a big deal. Your art matters, so take it seriously, okay? All right, so now it's important to talk about something else. We've talked about going as high as the sky in our dreams and our visions of the future and success, but now it's time to bring it back down to earth. We need to talk about realism in your goal setting. It is so important to set realistic goals for yourself. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't shoot for the moon? Of course not. Just realize that you may only get a hold of some cloud, or that it may take a lot more sacrifice and time than you're willing to put in. It's important for us to not lie to ourselves and get frustrated and depressed and overwhelmed because we're not reaching someplace. We have to understand that there's going to be some sacrifice, or we may just not have the skill set in order to get where we're trying to go. And so it's important for us to be realistic with where we're at so that we can set appropriate goals to get to our ultimate goal. Listen, you got to be real with yourself. Assess your skills, your limits, your resources. You need to look at those things and have a real idea of what's going to be possible with what you have, with what kind of limits you have, what kind of resources you have, and what kind of skills you have. Now, none of those things has to be a game-ending roadblock. It shouldn't be. But what it does mean is that it is going to have an effect on how you're going to reach your goal. There may be some extra steps before you can actually get there. Listen, you might be in a place where you don't have the available opportunities that somebody else does because they're in a different geographical location. Or you might not have access to the people that you need to be able to see a project actually come to completion. Now, in our digital age, there is a lot more connection that's possible, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have immediate access to whoever or whatever you need. Now, I say all of that because it's important for us to know where we are, We should not get discouraged and stop, because if we stop here, we're definitely not going to reach success. You got to change your mindset and you got to start thinking bigger, okay? If you don't have the resources that you need, then you got to start thinking bigger. How can you get those resources? If you have limits, then it's important for you to think, how can I overcome those limits? What can I do to overcome those limits? Or if you have a lack in skill, what do I need to do so that I can have the skill that I need in order to do what I want? I want you guys to be super real with yourselves. I want you to write down some of the limit issues that you may have, some of the resource issues you may have, and maybe some skill-based issues that you might have. But don't let this break you, okay? It's so important for us to not get stuck. Every roadblock is just a detour to get us to where we need to go. That's what your mindset has to be. It's not a, I'm going to get there or I'm not. It's a, how can I get there? Okay, so next I want to talk about a really, really important step, and that's research and planning. Listen, we don't have to figure out everything on our own. There have been people that have gone before us and have done the things that you want to do, I'm sure. If not, get ready for a little bit more of a bumpy process. But we can learn from people that have gone before us. And so whether you look up to somebody like Walt Disney or Michael Jackson or Stephen King or Steven Spielberg, whoever it is, it's important for you to learn what their process was. And you're not going to carbon copy their process because they're starting in a different place than you. They have different resources, skills, and limits that they had to deal with. But it's important for us to learn from others because we can see the steps that they went through to reach success. Listen, if we want to be successful, we have to be successful students of others. And I would encourage you not to just focus on one person. Look at multiple people's path to success. Look at the limits that they had. Look at the skills that they had. Look at the resources they had available to them and learn as much as you can. And listen, if you have the opportunity, go find a mentor that is doing what you would like to do. And listen, y'all, this may take a little bit of boldness. If you don't ask, there's definitely no way you're going to receive. And so it's important that you reach out and see if you can get in the same room as somebody that's doing what you want to do. I don't know what it is, but there is something about getting in the room with people and gleaning from them and listening to them and breathing the same air as them. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you talk. It changes the way you approach things. You become tied to that individual in ways that really matter. And so if there is someone that you can connect to that can help you to move forward in what you want to do, get a hold of that person. Let them speak into your life. Let them direct you. Let them give you ideas. It's so important for us to network with people that are ahead of us in the journey. And I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but I just wanted to remind you guys, I'm going to be opening up a Facebook group that's free for whoever wants to join, called the Reimagine Entertainment Podcast Community. And this is a place where artists from all sorts of industries can come together and we can help to build a community that supports each other. And one of my dreams is that we can build a community where people that are just starting in their journey can connect with people who have gone a little bit further than they have. And we can all continue to move together forward. Because guess what? Together, we're so much stronger than we are alone. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is breaking down goals. Have you ever heard that question? How do you eat an elephant? And then the other person says, one bite at a time. It's so true. Listen. These goals are way too big for you, at least all at once. If you're going to reach to your ultimate success, to your ultimate goal, you've got to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Okay, so in our previous step, when we are looking at other people that have gone before us, hopefully you've kind of picked up on some things that you might need to do. You can also Google search and see what other people that are doing what you want to do are doing and how they got there. Write those things down. And if you have a lack of skill, a lack of resource, or you have some limitations, you're going to have to add in some extra steps. But what I want you to do in this step is to create manageable goals. These should be goals that are on a timeline. So you've put them on a calendar and you've said, I am going to do this by this date. Cringe, I know it's so hard, but you got to be your own boss. If you want to get traction, you've got to be your own boss. So set your goal to a date, to a time. The next thing that you need to be able to do is make that goal attainable. That means it's something that you can do right now. The reality is, if you want to play in front of 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people, if you're trying to gather together enough people all right now so that you can have that kind of a gig, there's no way you're going to do that right now. Or at least it's not very likely. But what can you do? Can you get a gig at a local coffee shop this weekend? Can you write a page for your book? Can you start writing a page of your script? Can you at least make an outline for your script? What is the next reasonable goal that you can take, that you can do right now? So you need to have a reasonable goal. You need to set it to a date. When is this going to get done? What's the deadline? Another very important thing is your goals need to be measurable. You can't have a vague goal like build a bigger presence, think about some ideas. That's not going to cut it. You need to have measurable goals that you can say, I completed that goal. I've used this example before because it's a really great one. Stephen King will sit down and write X number of pages every day. The reason why he does that is because it's attainable. He's set it to a time or a date, and it's measurable. And you have to do the same thing. If you want to see yourself moving forward bit by bit, you've got to do this. You can't get stuck in the future. You have to be right now. You have to be in the moment so that you can actually move forward. Let me tell you something. You don't get from here to your destination when you're on vacation by thinking about it. You have to put your foot to the gas pedal and you have to actually drive. And you have to drive each moment, that entire trip, all the way to your destination. And that is exactly how this is. Some other really great things that you can do when you're breaking down goals is setting up some milestones, throughout the whole process, because as you're trying to get from here to here, there needs to be some milestones along the way. You don't have to have every little goal figured out from here to the end, but you do need to have some milestones set up in the middle, and then you have your smaller goals that you try to work through to get to those milestones. This is going to help you feel like you're actually getting to where you're trying to go. Because let me tell you something, if you're just spinning your wheels and that's what you feel like, you're going to give up. Plain and simple, you're going to give up. You have to see things happening in order for you to keep moving forward and feel like you're actually doing something. And I know this is a lot, and I know this can maybe be overwhelming to some of you guys that aren't used to doing this kind of stuff, but it is necessary. If you want to get to that ultimate picture of success, that ultimate goal, you've got to do the small things moment to moment to moment to moment, even when you don't want to, so that you can actually get there. Otherwise, it's going to take way longer than it should. And you guys have some awesome stuff to create. I want to see it. I want to hear it. But we can't do that if you don't break it down into goals and actually make it happen. Okay, so once you have some goals that you're going to work on, I want you to take those goals and I want you to assign them to dates, and I want you guys to actually do it. Now, here's the thing. When we're creating a personal timeline, let's be honest. Life happens. Stuff comes up. We can't control everything. And this is where your long-term planning and your milestones come into play. I don't want you to get so bogged down by, oh man, I didn't get this done, and now I suck, and now what's the point? I don't want you guys to get bogged down with that. I want you to do the best you can to get everything done that you can. And if you don't get something done, It's okay. Well, kind of. There's got to be balance. It's like this tension, right? Every once in a while, it's okay if one thing doesn't get done, but you have to learn how to prioritize your goals. Those milestones are going to help you to keep your goals on track. It's going to help you to keep prioritization in your goals. So, what are the biggest things that you need to do to get from here to here? Some of the smaller things might need to fall away depending on life circumstances and all that kind of stuff. But what are the big things that need to get done? This is going to allow you some flexibility and some adaptability in your schedule. You might not be able to do this over here. You might not be able to do this over here. And so it's okay for you to move some things around so that they fit the way that they need to. Get the big things done first and then try to work on some of those other things. Now, obviously, some things are time sensitive, and you just need to get those things done when they need to get done. Suck it up. You can do it. I believe in you. Okay, but that brings us into this whole process of managing our goals. We need to be able to measure progress, and we need to be able to adjust some things. Listen, I would encourage you to have like a task list, whether you're doing that on your phone or if you have literally a list that you're writing down. I would encourage you to have a list of goals that you're trying to complete so that you can get to your main goal. And it's important to regularly visit this list so that you can keep it in your mind. What am I trying to do? This is how we measure success. This is how we measure how close to our ultimate success picture we are. And if we start seeing that we're not getting there as fast as we would like, or we're going off in a different direction, it's important for us to reassess and decide what we're going to do. You are a powerful decision maker. You may not feel like it, but you are. You have the potential to be a powerful decision maker. And so when you see things starting to shift and change and move, it's important for you to make decisions that will get you back on track. And listen, guys, it's really, really important for you to celebrate your wins. It's so easy to just say, that's just a small thing. When we celebrate our wins, when we say, yeah, I did it, all of a sudden it feels like what we're doing matters. And listen, guys, I understand life happens. We only have so much energy every day. But listen, if something really matters to you, if your art really matters to you, if being recognized for your skills and your talents matters to you, then you have to do what it takes to get there. I was just watching a video recently that featured Steven Spielberg, and somebody was interviewing him and was talking about his first years working for a movie studio and how he actually was on a tour that was going through the sets and everything, but he actually got off at a bathroom stop and then never came out of the bathroom. And he found himself a room in one of the buildings and put his name on the door and moved himself essentially into a little office and started working at the movie studio even though nobody had hired him. And he did that apparently for like 2 summers or something. And that's how he got there. He didn't take no for an answer. And I need you to not take no for an answer. There are so many steps between where we are and where we want to get to. But if you continually let every roadblock and no stop you, then you're not dreaming big enough. Listen, I believe that God created us to be strong and powerful decision makers, and that when He gives us a goal, or if we have a goal, we have the power in order to get there. Now, I understand maybe not all of you believe that. That's what I believe, though. That's what drives me and pushes me forward. You need to find what drives you and pushes you forward. So listen, guys, it's really important for you to do all these things, okay? You need to define what success looks like for you. You need to understand what your personal motivations and desires are, what's driving you. You need to be realistic with where your limits are, your resources, and your skills. Then it's time to do some research and some planning and looking at people who have gone before you, maybe getting connected to a mentor so that you can really understand what steps it takes to get to where you want to go. So then once you have that big goal and you understand some of the milestones that need to happen, it's time to start breaking that down into right now goals that you can do that are measurable, set to a time and realistic that you can do right now. Then you need to make sure that you have those on a timeline. You need to put them on a list, and you need to look at that list often. Check those things off. And when you check things off and you're getting things done, it's time to celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on. Listen, guys, like I said, I want to see the things that you create. I want to watch the films that you make. I want to watch the animations that you create. I want to listen to the music that you're writing. But you've got to take actionable steps so that you can actually do that. I'm doing the same thing, guys. This is something that I have to hammer on all the time. I'm not naturally an organized person, but you know what? I'm going to take that hammer and I'm going to smack myself so that I can get those things done. Before we wrap this whole thing up, I want to invite some of you songwriters out there. Listen, maybe you're just having a really hard time doing this on your own. Maybe you're having a hard time writing songs consistently. Maybe you're stuck under the thumb of writer's block. I want to help come alongside you. I want to help give you some tools and some tips that are going to help you to be able to grow as a songwriter, and so that you can get out from underneath that thumb of writer's block. So if that's you and you want to be a part of a free webinar that I'm going to be doing that's going to go over some mindset things and learning how to overcome writer's block. If that's you and you want to be a part of that, comment "crushing writer's block" below. If you guys do that, I will get you guys some information on that. It's going to be coming up here in the next few weeks, but I want to help do everything I can to help you to be able to overcome writer's block and give you the steps and ideas and tools that you need so that you can write amazing songs, because I know you've got them in you. All right, guys, this has been Reimagine Entertainment with Josiah Wright. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today. But until next time, keep creating, friends.